Worm, prepare yourself. Damn Saiyan.
I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys today about the first time I ever saw Dragon Ball in any way, shape, or form. My Spanish Dragon Ball story. Now, what do I mean by Spanish? Well, for those of you guys who haven't guessed it or don't know, I'm Hispanic. And I actually fluently Spanish. Spanish was actually my first language. And then I learned English. I speak English very well now, but Spanish is still there. And even though I don't speak much of it anymore, it's still a huge part of me, and it literally is connected through a lifeline to Dragon Ball. So when I was a little kid, I was maybe around 10, maybe 9. I think it was like 9 or 8. And usually every summer we would go back to Guatemala. If you guys don't know Guatemala, it's a Central American country, and that's where my family, well, half of my family is from. The other half is from somewhere else, but that's where my mom's half is. And we used to go there every summer to go visit them and whatever. And so I remember this specific summer because I was watching, a bunch of different cartoons at the time that were closely more related to like Marvel and stuff like that, Spider-Man, all that stuff. And so I wasn't too much into anime, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I had just gotten there into Guatemala, and I had my grandma's house. My grandma's house is where we usually went to stay for a couple months. And so I got there, we used to have pizza days, and I think they were Thursdays. And so, I ordered pizza, they ordered Domino's or whatever. And I remember I got there and I was waiting for the pizza, and I went into the room that I was sharing with my cousin. And so I turned on the TV. And as soon as I turned it on to whatever cartoon channel they had, I guess. I just clicked it on because that's what my cousin was watching. And I remember I saw this guy. He was fighting a pink thing. Pink guy that looked like he looked more like a cartoon, honestly, in my opinion. And the fighter that was fighting him, he was like huge. He was buff. And I had the experience of watching like Marvel TV shows, like cartoons like X-Men, all that. I mean, there's some big guys on there, but just this dude, like, he was just huge, like, and then he was pummeling this dude, like beating him senseless. I was like, what is going on? Like, this is awesome. I was like, and it was all in Spanish, and the dude had golden hair all the way to his back. And his brow was pushed forward, and he also had an orange outfit on. I remember thinking to myself, this guy must be a superhero because of his brightly colored outfit. I mean, it wasn't like any superhero outfit that I had seen up to that point, because it looked more less goofy, I guess. It wasn't skin tight, it was more it was almost like regular clothes, but because it was bright orange and there was bright blue in there, I was like, oh well, he must be a superhero because it's so flashy. But he had awesome hair, and just the fight, they were flying in the middle of air, and he was beating the crap out of this thing, and I'm like, this is awesome, this is so cool. I was like instantly like hooked. My eyeballs were hooked into the show. And so this went on for a while, but then he started like firing attacks out of his hands, like energy attacks. It looked like at that time I didn't know what energy attacks was. I can say it now. I can't really connect it to anything back then, because back then I was watching like the 90s version of Marvel cartoons, and a lot of characters really didn't have those sort of abilities. And if you did, it was like only 1 or 2 of them had like an ability where they shot maybe like an energy beam or a beam out of their hand or something like that, or a beam out of their eyes like Cyclops. And so he was shooting these out of his hand, and so was the other guy. And so no matter how much he beat this pink dude, the pink dude just kept reforming. He was like made out of silly putty. And I was like, what is going on? I asked my cousin, I was like, what show is this? He's like, I don't know. Yeah, he wasn't aware of what the show was either. And so I mean, I remember watching it for a little bit, and then I don't know what happened. You know, it got cut off, or we had to go eat dinner because the pizza had gone there, and we know we had to go sit at the table and stuff like that. So I'm not exactly sure what happened after that, but I do remember the first time I've seen Dragon Ball Z on in America, because that was the only time I saw it in Guatemala. Like, that was it. Like, there was no me watching it after that. That was the only episode, and I couldn't find it anymore. I remember spending a good portion of that summer trying to find it on TV, but every time I turned it, like, I was a little kid, so I just figured, like, you turn on the TV, and then if it wasn't on, oh, you know, that sucks. You didn't get it. I wasn't, like, thinking of, like, oh, let me go search all the channels and stuff like that and figure out what the timing was, or what channel that might have been, or what the cartoon channels were, or anything like that. So when I did get back to the States, it's eventually, I think I was like 10 years old, and that's the first time that I saw actual Dragon Ball, like, on Toonami. And I remember thinking, like, when I first watched it, I remember watching the beginning. It started right in the very beginning. It was, but I had missed a couple episodes. It was Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz. And I remember thinking, like, that guy looks familiar. He's got the same outfit on. And so, you know, as the show went on, other characters had that outfit. You know, Yamcha had the outfit, and Krillin had the outfit. So I was thinking, like, okay, so this blonde dude, I must have been watching either another version of it or a version in the future, because it looked like a lot better animation. And so I'm like, this Goku and Krillin and Yamcha, they must eventually know this guy, the guy with the blonde hair. Later down the line, he must be the guy. He must be the one who, who's connected to these guys. Maybe they all go to the same sort of martial arts school. They're all trained by the same guy, Master Roshi or something later on. And I was so excited to get to that point in Dragon Ball. And then I remember watching into the Frieza saga, and then when Frieza killed Goku, I was like really upset, because at that point, you know, everyone makes the jokes now, but I actually really liked Krillin, because he was so helpful, even though he was an Earthling. He was so helpful throughout the Frieza saga. And so he kills Krillin, and I'm just devastated at that point. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. What's Goku gonna do? You can't kill this guy. You shot him with your best attack, and he's not dying. Like, man, I'm wondering, maybe you should call that blonde dude eventually. At that point, I wasn't thinking about the blonde dude, but I'm just saying, like, that you should call that blonde guy and have him come and take care of him or something. And then when Goku starts, like, spazzing out, I'm like, what the hell's wrong with him? And then he transforms into a blonde version of himself, a power-up, the Super Saiyan, the one that Vegeta the entire time up to that point had been, like, talking about avidly and thinking that everybody else was a Super Saiyan, and now this is a Super Saiyan. I had no idea at that point that was the legendary Super Saiyan, that the blonde hair was a legendary Super Saiyan. So as soon as I saw that, I put two and two together. I was like, so he's a Super Saiyan. Either the other guy, the guy that I saw back in Guatemala, either he was a Super Saiyan from another Super Saiyan, but then I was thinking, like, there's only like the two Saiyans left besides Gohan. So I mean, or Goku is that Saiyan, and eventually maybe he'll get some sort of new power up, and then he'll transform into this new form, just like he just did now. And I was so, like, nerding out when this happened. Like, I think that I had been watching Dragon Ball as a very interested and very excited fan up until that point, but I think that's when my fandom started. Right when he turned into Super Saiyan. I remember that I was sitting in my my living room, well, my family's living room, and I was watching Toonami, and I remember, because I think it cut to commercial, like, right after that. I think the episode was over, actually, and then so I was like, what? I was, like, flipping out. I was telling my sister, I was telling my, you know, running around and stuff like that. And at that point, like, I started, like, playing, like, Dragon Ball games, like not real games, like, actually, like, imaginary games where I pretending I was Goku. And so I was super excited after that, and it all started with me seeing, you know, Goku in Super Saiyan 3 in Guatemala. And I told you guys I would tell you that story in my other video of why Super Saiyan 3 means so much to me, and that was the first thing that I ever saw. I saw Goku Super Saiyan 3 fighting Majin Buu, or Fat Buu. And so what I chalked it up was that, I mean, again, the anime was so further along in Japan that I would say that Guatemala may have gotten the anime had, like, way earlier than the U.S. did, and then they had already gotten to the Majin Buu arc at that point, at the point that I went in there when I was like 9 years old and stuff. So anyway, guys, that's my story. That's my Spanish Dragon Ball story. Let me know in the comment section below what your stories are, the first time you ever saw Dragon Ball. Put in the comments below, let me know. Drop me a like, guys. It really helps out my channel a lot if you comment and like right away as soon as the video comes up. This is going to be Dragon Ball Black, signing off.